Hey everyone, it is Larry here at LC Model Shipbuilding. As you can see, a lot has happened in the last 4 days with the ship. So we're going to go over standing rigging in this video, and you'll be able to kind of see how we did most of this, if not all of it. I mean, within reason. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. It's been an interesting couple days working on this, and I'm really getting excited with the results of it. If you saw the picture of it in the video, or not the video, but when you click on the link for it, I have it up against the backdrop for my model railroad, and the blue sky makes it look pretty darn amazing and real. So anyway, very excited. I think we're moving along quite well, and we're really getting close to really wrapping it up here. After this video, we're going to end up having another one with the running rigging and the sails, and then pretty much just touch up cleanup video. So we're getting close, but thank you very much for watching, and let's get started. Okay, so here we are back at it. So I'm going to kind of explain a little bit about what I'm doing. So in the last video, we finished up the mizzen mast. Well, actually, I didn't. I still had to do the upper shrouds, but we got basically the platform and up done. So what has to happen from this point? The mizzen mast is kind of bowed back because it's getting all this pressure down from the shrouds coming down onto the deck. So what happens is there is ropes that come around here and then come down to the deck. I already started them right in here. So I'm going to have two, and they have a hook on them. You can kind of see right here that look like that. And then they're going to hook into the deck and then come up, and there will be a block right here. So that's the block. Hopefully you can see. Well, no, there's the block. And I am using a little bit of the kit parts for this because this is custom from what it actually calls for in the directions. I'm just kind of going more by what the real ship actually looks like. So that will come and then have a single rope going up here from these two joined. It'll loop around, then come over right under the platform to one of the blocks, and then drop down to another hook that is just behind this banister where the pin rail is. So I'll kind of show that a little bit closer here so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about. But you can see the eyelets down here. So they'll have a hook on them, similar to this one right there. And that basically will start to pull the whole mizzen mast forward. So you can see right now it is definitely bowed back, but we'll get that straightened out. And then the platform also is angled a little bit, you can probably see. And how we're going to remedy that, sorry, I built this. So what this is going to do, and I borrowed this from a Facebook user, so yeah, I really liked his design and what he did. Drilled out holes right in here, and this is going to come here and pull forward, and that will attach to one of the ropes coming down. So once I'm ready to do that, I'll kind of demonstrate what I'm doing. Ended up making this out of a popsicle stick. Nothing real difficult, just kind of filed it down. The holes aren't perfectly lined up. They'll be okay for what I need though, so I'm not too worried about it. So anyway, let me keep moving on here, get these ropes into their block here, get that up and around, and I'll pick back up after that. Okay, so here you can see we have our block in here. This is connected how I want it. I have it coming up inside the crow's nest here, and I'm going to bring it around on the right side because I am trying to pull it to the right a little bit, slightly. So I'm looping it through where it goes up to the next portion of the mast, and bringing it down around. So, oh, I gotta go back down through the crow's nest there, or platform, I guess you call it, not a crow's nest. Got this pirate terminology going on. All right, So there we go. Bringing that down back around. All right, so that's going to bring it basically like this, and right around here is where the block needs to get tied on at. And up here we need to tie a couple knots together, or not knots, but a couple ropes together, just to kind of lash them together. But I gotta look how far up this is supposed to be. It looks like about halfway. So I'm gonna go right here with it, and it's calling for the double A blocks, which with our set would be these. So we're going to go ahead and make sure this string is thick enough, or thin enough to go through it, which it's not. So I'm gonna have to drill that out just a tiny bit. Without trying to drill my finger. Hopefully that'll be enough. With a thread puller it will. Okay, so we're going to pass this through, then we're going to tie the block to the mast, and that I will use a thinner thread just for modeling purposes, but I'm sure it would have to be a thicker rope as well, just because the fact that this rope is so thick and what it's actually holding. Okay, looks like I need a little bit thicker of a hole. So we'll go up one more step. Of course I would lose it under here while I'm filming. There it is. Okay. Ideally, you'd probably want to use a vise if you're doing this. Okay. There we go. That should definitely work now. So just trim the fray off. Perfect. Okay, so now that guy's gonna come up to here. We're gonna tie him around the mast. And then how we finally connect it at the end is another set of dead eyes, kind of like what we were doing for the shrouds. So we gotta get a piece of string for a little bit thicker. Not crazy thick, but a little bit thicker than what I'm using. 50. Yeah, 50 should be good. Okay. Just going to tie a loop around it. Really, this probably should be also black thread, but I'm doing tan just for a little bit of differentiation of color. But typically your standing rigging would always be black, just an FYI. We're going to go right there with it. I think that's about where I want it. And I want this fairly close to the mast. And ideally on the back side where the knot will end up being. Okay. Even a little bit closer, I think. There. And still. Well, I guess that's about as close as I'm going to get. And it actually got farther. Well, I guess that's where we're going to land. Because it does not want to come in. Oh, there we go. That's like exactly where I want it. Pretty much right there. Okay. Sorry about that. Just took a minute here to get that in position. Okay. So there we go with that. And now we just got to make our dead eye that will go right in between these two ropes. So I have my bottom hook for the dead eye already, and I got that one. So now I got to kind of put this all together, and I want to be about there. So we're going to do one of these. Actually, a little bit more. Okay. Because the dead eye, when I pull the string, will give it, or will kill some of the slack. Actually, all of the slack. So I want to make sure I give it enough room that I can actually get the dead eye effect without killing it too much. Okay, and remember you want your bottom two and then your center one up on top. Hopefully you can see that, but I think I've demonstrated it a couple times at this point on other ones. Okay. Now, just like we've done in all of our previous ones, we're going to tie off a rope around it. And this will be slightly hidden anyway behind that rail banister. And out of the 3 masts, these mounting points I think are actually probably the most challenging, because the main mast goes all the way up to the bow, right on the front up here, and the foremast does this same principle on the bowsprit, so it's a little bit easier to deal with. This one's a little bit challenging with just having so tight space behind that mast and behind those pin rails. So we'll see how this turns out. Just hit it with a tiny bit of glue. All right. I might have to pull those off just to make this work, but we'll see here. So the one thing I'm noticing about this ship is, as you go, you end up having more and more stuff in your way as you're going. And I'm going to do this one slightly backwards because I want to hide the knot. So I'm going to start it from the bottom instead of the top. I had it in for a second. Okay. Might need to drill that one out. Oh, there it goes. Okay. All right. If I was off camera there, sorry about that. I'm kind of at an odd angle here. Okay, so just like the ones that we used for the shrouds, I'm going to cut about 8 inches of rope for it, roughly. And we're going to just start fishing it through. Well, first we're going to hook it, and then we're going to start fishing it through. Oh no, we're going to hook it afterwards. Boy, that's going to be a challenge. I got to think this one out. It's kind of like playing chess. Because if I don't hook it through, I won't be able to. I'm gonna have to thread it first and then hook it. Definitely gonna make a challenge. Which my slack is gonna have to end at the top. Falls, you can see his hands. I do apologize. And I'm pretty sure this little segment here, I was working a lot off camera, so not intentional, but this is a little challenging. We'll say that. Come on. There it goes. And the last one. Okay, got that. Now I need to hook it down here. I am pulling the mast, the rear mast, Mizen mast, whatever you want to call it, forward as I'm doing this a little bit. So this is making the effect that I'm hoping it would. There we go. Now, that dead eye seems just a bit long, but okay. My hook, or my eyelet came out. Well, let me pause that and we'll come back. Okay, so in the last segment I was working on putting that hook on down there. I ended up moving forward because it was just too hard to video and do all this, but we are rigged pretty much all the way up to the top of the mizzen mast now at this point, and all of the lines are in. I did also do the that front lash sling that I was talking about. You can see that there. And next up, what I'm going to be doing is pretty similar to what I've already done. We'll be putting the shrouds like this up here on the main mast, so I'm not going to record that. I already do have them here. I just got to kind of cinch them down and get them tightened. So I'm going to go ahead and work on putting that together, and then when that is complete, we'll be working on this menagerie up here, which is the shrouds for the foremast that we did way back a couple videos ago. So we'll be getting that installed and running the lines across. One thing I would tell you, if you're doing similar rigging or anything like this, make sure that you do follow this rear first, then move to the main. I didn't put the shrouds up, which made it very easy to get in here where I needed to do all of this, so I will do the same when it comes to the foremast and not put the shrouds up until the rest of the standing rigging is done on the back half. But there you go, kind of get an idea of where we're at, and we'll pick up here a little bit later. Okay, so another quick update. We have our shrouds up for the main mast. We have our shrouds going up in the center section and getting ready to do the upper now. I just planted the main, the foremast, so I'm getting ready to do very similar things to what we did over here with all the cross ropes that are coming across here. So that's basically where we're at. I'll put more. I'll do more video, I guess, once I go into putting the bowsprit in. So that's where we currently are. Okay, a little bit of an update. Pretty much all of the standing rigging is done on the rear and main mast, and I got a lot of the crossing done over onto the foremast. So what we're going to do now, we're going to run a similar situation like this from here down to here and hook it in. So I'm going to kind of show you what I'm doing and how I'm doing this. Sorry for the goofy angles here. Let me make sure we have view. Okay, this should work. So, using a thick rope and This is basically the same rope that I'm using for the rat lines. So first thing I'm going to do is make a loop like that. And just gonna CA it in place. And let it tack for a minute or so, or well, a couple seconds. Just long enough to get it kind of stuck. It might be a little bit bigger than we need, but that's okay because we're going to tie it off with some smaller rope anyway. Okay, so now I'm going to take a little bit thinner of a rope, not too much thinner, but a little bit, and we're going to tie that around our knot there, or our loop there. Okay. And I don't want it to be that thick, so I'm only singling that, and I'm going to glue again. Cut off my excess. All right, now I'm going to just loop it around a couple times to get this look of it being kind of lashed. Almost looks like what you would call a noose, I guess, once it's said and done. Okay, and we're going to again tack that in place with our CA glue. So that, once that kind of dries up, and the good thing about this string that or rope that I'm using, it actually absorbs the CA, so you won't see that big gloopy glob of glue once it's done. But that's our loop here that I'm trying to go for. All right, so what we're going to do from here, and we're going to need 2 of these. I'm just going to show one in the video, but what we're going to do is get a rough idea of how much rope we need to have here, because this is going to loop around the mast and come down to here. And I dropped it, but that's okay. So going a little bit longer than I need on purpose. All right, so let me make sure you can see. Yeah, well, I'm going to bring the angle over here. Sorry, I don't have one of those fancy rolling cameras like they do in the movies, so got to deal with it. And we're at a point now with this build that the ship is just huge, and it's a lot harder to film. Okay, so we have our rope here. That's going to come up from inside here, and it's going to then loop around here and come back down. And we're going to go past this piece right through our loop here. Just like that. Okay, and I want to go to about right there. Now, up in the front, we're going to use our dead eyes. Just gonna try to re-angle here so we can see. Whoa, sorry. Okay, so there's 2 hooks right there. I'm again going to use some of my larger hooks like these from his models, and we're going to attach them to a deadeye. And it's really the same deadeye process as before, but that's okay. We'll show it again on the video. So I'm going to use the 0.50 rope. And that's going to get passed through the hook. Actually, first I'm going to tie the dead eye, then I'll pass it through the hook. So I need my smaller side dead eye. We're going to need 4 of these in total for each side. Again, let me check my angle here. Yeah, okay, you can see. Alright, so just going to tie these around. And we want our O hole to be at the bottom of where this ends up. Just like that. Nope, I did that backwards. There we go. Okay, give that a second knot. And now we're going to take our hook and attach it to our dead eye. It's very similar to what we did earlier on the other mast before the hook came out, and I just decided it was easier to do this mostly off of camera. But because this video is basically going to be all of the standing rigging, I got to show you something. So we're back. Okay, there we go. Touch of CA. Perfect. And we can cut. Now this will be going onto the actual hull on the hook there, or I'm sorry, the eyelet. So I didn't want to use a real heavy rope for it. All right, next up, we need to take our rope coming from here and figure out our distance that we need it to be. So I'm going to say right about there is where I want it. So now I'm going to take my other dead eye and I'm going to loop it around, and we want our eye, or our O, sticking up, not our O, but our top hole, so that it's away from the bottom hole. All right, again, doing very similar to before, super glue, about 2 or 3 centimeters up. I don't know if that was centimeters. It might have been 2 centimeters at most. Definitely not 3. And my finger's stuck. Gotta love it. Okay. Or not. All right, there we go. That is stuck. I'm going to cut my little bit of excess off at the top up here. All right, next up we're going to do the same thing we've done before. A little bit of tan thread. Get one in. Okay. Loop it around about 6 or 7 times. Hit it with the dot of CA. Cut. Let it set for about 10 seconds, maybe less. it's set, it's not moving, and we tie it off. Okay, perfect. Hit that with some CA. And cut. And we're going to do it one more time. I was originally going to make this on the port side, but because of where the camera is, I'm sorry, I was originally going to make it on the starboard side, but because of where the camera is now, it's going to go on the port side. No, I'm still saying that wrong. Port is left, starboard's right. So it's going on the port side, or the starboard side. Sorry. All right, a little bit of glue. Cut. Set. Tie. So now, essentially, we have that rope ready to go. And that then just connects with our deadeye ropes. Okay. So to do this, and you've seen it before if you've been watching, we're going into the left-hand side. We're going to tie a knot. And you know what? Because we're not going to have the room to do it on the other end to tie it off, we're going to start on the bottom. So we're still going to go on the left-hand side. We got her tied in good with 2 to 3 knots. That should be enough. All right. Pull down. Cut your end. Get yourself about a foot, maybe a little less. Cut. Okay. So now we're going on to our top left, or our left hole. If I don't drop them, I need to clean up some of these rope strands. I got way too many little pieces of scrap, and it is starting to really throw me off. Okay, in on the top left. Now we're going down to the bottom, which is our center hole. Run it through. Back up to our center hole on the top. Oops, that turned. No good. There we go. Okay. So up to our top hole of the triangle, I guess you would call it, of holes. You can pull it just to get it a little taut. Okay. Down to our bottom hole. And back up to our final hole. So there we go. That's what you end up with. So you can see that. All right, so what we're going to do now is hook it into our little eyelet hole, which is right there. And I can barely see it in the angle I'm in. Actually, I can't see it, so I need to tilt. And come across here. Now, I used the plastic kit eyelets on this, and I honestly don't know if it's going to work or not. So we're going to see. Give it a try. If it doesn't, I have the metal ones to replace it with. But if I can get away with it, I will. I bent the hook a little bit. Just don't have a good angle with the camera. So I'm going to rotate so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. And it appears that I got some glue in the eyelet. That's why it's not going through. So we're going to just drill that back out a little. Okay. Hopefully that's enough. We'll see. That would explain why it wasn't going through. I'm trying to do this with keeping visibility and not knock the ship over and not destroy anything at the same time, so it's definitely a bit of a challenge. That hole just is not going to be big enough, I don't think. So, no, we took off the whole piece. But I got it in. Okay, so I can glue this back down real quick. And what I'll do is glue that off camera. And I'll build the other one, and then we'll tighten them up. So, I had a feeling that was going to happen. But, no harm, no foul. We will be right back. Okay, we're back. So, I went ahead and did this one. I know I said I was going to hold, but the reason for that is because when I set the other side here, I need to be able to judge it for its length, because I want them to end up and land basically in the same spot. So that's going to be right about here where our dead eye is going to land. And it might end up being off, you know, a centimeter, not a centimeter, a couple millimeters, but that's okay. It won't be bad, I know that. It'll be close enough. So off camera, I went ahead and hogged out the hole for that eyelet on this side, so I don't run into the same problem that I did the last side. And I already got our hook made up, so now it's just a matter of connecting all this. Okay. And I know when it comes to doing these videos, I could very well edit that out and make it look perfect and blah blah blah, but I think for me personally, if I were watching a video, I wouldn't mind seeing the errors and whatnot and how to go about remedying them, and you know, some of the problems that you can run into. So that's why I don't do a whole lot of editing. I just kind of like it going natural. I try not to make it so you're watching the same thing repetitively over and over and over, because that's just not fun either. And there's only so many times you can see somebody tie knots and build dead eyes and paint soldiers and build cannon carronades. So that is the reasoning why, if anybody was curious of that. I really try to do my best to keep the videos pertinent to explaining what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And yeah, I mean, anybody that builds models, you know that you run into errors. It does not 100% go perfect every single time. I mean, sometimes great, yeah, perfect, that's awesome, love it. I love when that happens. But a vast majority of the time, especially when you're doing something the first time around, it's trial and error, and you got to figure out your best way to do it. And I'm okay with people seeing that because I think it's important. Just my opinion. So that is why. Alright, so we're just going to tie this last one here, and then we're going to go ahead and run our deadeye again, which, funny enough, will be the same process I just showed in the last segment, but this time we'll actually get her connected, and you'll be able to see what the end product is going to look like. Then the next part is going to be doing the stabilizer for the upper part of the mast, which basically would stop these ropes from chafing on the platform. So I kind of showed it earlier, but it was a piece of wood that goes right here. So we're going to put one of them back on the main mast, and one will go up here too eventually, once we get the bowsprit in. But I'm going to show how I make that, and then we'll put the bowsprit in. So I think by the end of this video, we pretty much will have all of the standing rigging completed, and it'll be time to start doing running rigging and sails. So excited about that. We're definitely kind of winding our way down here. I'm guessing probably 2 more videos after this one, at the rate we're going. The one small problem I've run into, I had to order more dead eyes for the shrouds on the foremast. I ran out. Well, I didn't run out completely yet, but I'm going to run out. I already counted it out that I don't have enough. So I have more ordered, and oh, that's going to line up perfect. Beautiful. So they will be here early in the week. Oh, I forgot to trim that earlier. And but that's okay. There's plenty of other things that can be done on this in between there. And we still have rat lines to do. I'm sure that will be a short segment at some point. I'm not going to go crazy with that either, though, because once I do one clove hitch, it literally is going to be probably about 1,000 clove hitches after that, and you'll pretty much get the idea of it. So we're just going to demonstrate it, probably 1 or 2 rungs on the shroud, and call it a day with that until I get them done. But how I'm looking, I think I'm still going to be able to do quite a bit more before I even have to worry about them. Heck, I think I can actually get the sails up without even worrying about them so much. So, I don't know. Once I do one, I'll know that for sure. But if I have to do all the rat lines before, I will. It's just going to take longer. All right. So that is top left, and we're just going to feed that through again, just like we did earlier. But this time, we're not going to break a piece off. Okay, and then we go from the inside, or the knot side, out. And these work really cool, actually. I think they work pretty similar to how they would in real life, where when you start to tighten it down, it cinches it down. The Canon carronades did the same thing. So it does really add a nice touch of realism to it compared to the plastic molded pieces that the kit came with. They take longer, but I think they're worth it. Eventually, down the road someday, I may do the wooden version of this model. I've never done a wooden ship, but I think it would be pretty cool. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay. And if you notice, the lines are straight. You want to keep your lines straight. So that's why it's so important to follow the order of the holes on the dead eyes. Otherwise, they will not work how they're supposed to, and they won't look how they're supposed to. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this in there, and I don't know if I'm on camera right now, so I do apologize if I'm not. Almost done. Are we through? Yeah, we're through, barely. I think there might have been a little bit of either glue or sanding, or wood left in that hole. I should have just hit it with the drill bit. There it goes. Okay. There we go. So, as you can see, lines are crossed right now, so I gotta kind of straighten them out, and a lot of times you can just do what I just did there and it will straighten. Actually, the dead eye moved on me a little bit, that's why. There we go. Are we straight? Now we are. All right. So now we're just going to hook our hook. Look how easy that is when the hole's drilled out. And you can just basically pull this string, pull this one back, pull this string, pull it back, and keep doing that as it cinches its way down to the point that it's tight. One more hit. Okay, I like it there. So I'm gonna hit it with a little tiny touch of CA glue. Let it sit for a minute, then we're gonna tie it off. And we're done. So, they're pretty nice and taut now at this point. And yeah, happy with them. So now we're going to take this, loop it around. I've been doing it about 3 or 4 times right around the base, and that seems to work fine. And it gives you the look that you want. Make sure you pull it tight so it doesn't have any slack in it. Okay. Do one more. Okay. Then I just bring it back in through the hole between the dead eye and the rope loop. Pull it through and tie it off. Got stuck on that knot. Okay. There we go. Tie it off. Hit it with the one little piece of glue. And cut. And done. All right, there we go. So now you can see that line is there, and it's right up to the platform as we wanted. So our next step is going to be doing this right here. So let me move some stuff around here for a minute, and I'll show you how I'm making these, because they are custom made and do not come with the kit. Okay, here we go. So I want this to be about 1.25 inches roughly. So here we go. First thing I'm going to do is cut this, and all this is a popsicle stick. So nothing too fancy here. And really I don't need it to be a perfect cut, so I'm just doing the score and trim, or break, I mean. All right. So now I'm going to cut the rest of that off, just like that. All right. Now, I chose a popsicle stick. Now, I know this sounds goofy, but popsicle sticks also have grain, just like any real wood would. So the grain is going this way. Makes it easier to cut and should give me a straight cut. So I want my little rounded edge back here. So I'm saving that, and I'm going to cut right probably about a little over 1/8 of an inch off at the end. And I just want to make sure I'm getting it straight. And see, because it's following the grain, it basically pops right off. Nice and easy. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. All right. Perfect. So now I need a file, which I had a few minutes ago, and I don't know where I put it. That would seem about right. There it is. All right, so now we're going to file it nice and smooth. I'm going to hit the other side. And I go intentionally a little bit bigger than I needed to on this, so I had filing room, and that will also get it nice and straight for anywhere that wasn't straight. And now to replicate that curve that we have on the other end, just kind of hit it with the file on the end. There we go. Okay, happy with that. So, what we need from here is drilling. So, I want to double check real quick before I drill these out. I believe I need 14 holes. So, let me check that and I will be right back. Okay, so I ended up filing a little bit more. I wasn't overly happy with that. It just seemed a little bit thick. Anyway, so there is our middle point right there. And it's actually 16 holes I need. So I'm not measuring this. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. But I'm going to do eight per each side of the center. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they're not 100% perfectly straight. Once the string is in them, you'll never see that, so it'll be okay. Okay, there's 8. And we're going to do the same thing over on the other side. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I could have probably did a guide hole beforehand, but like I said, once the string is in there, you will not see that at all. And the string is tan, so no real worries here. Alright, there we go. So now we built that. So, where we go from here, we're going to take some medium-sized rope, which is going to be, I guess, 100. And we're going to basically just tie a big loop around it. Okay, got that. Then I bring the end of the knot down. And basically just tie it to the end. You know what? I glued the other one. That's right, I forgot. So, again, this is why it's okay to show errors. Because then you remember. And then you people that are watching won't make the same error. There we go. Yeah, I did both sides too. And I'm going to re-hit that with the drill bit just because I might have ended up getting some glue on it from my fingers. That'll be alright. Okay. So letting that sit for 1 second. I just wanted to look at one thing on how I did the previous one. So I am going to use a block from the original kit. for these. And I'm using the double-sided, the largest one on here. Okay. So now we're going to tie this off. Okay. I'm going to drill these out real quick, and I'm going to hit that with a little bit with the file just to kind of get the glue off, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, we're back again. So, got my little block here, got that all cleaned up, so looks good now. I'm happy. Just ran this through, and I want it about right there, and we're going to do the exact same thing we've been doing. The thing, if you do any of this, you will see it is extremely repetitive. Basically everything that you do on it is the same thing repeated multiple times. But the good thing is you definitely get a chance to get good at it as you're going. Alright, now we're going to tie that off and do our looping just like we did on the other section. And I'll end up painting the block black once I get it all installed. Okay. I'm doubling this one. I want it to have a real thick look to it because it's holding the biggest mast. And that will actually do. Let that absorb in for a minute. Okay. And just because I want to just tie a knot around it, just for good measure. There we go. I don't think that was going anywhere, but a little bit of added insurance won't hurt anything. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to do similar on the other end. And I'm actually going to cut off the other hook here, or not hook, but eyelet. never see that behind the rope, but whatever. Okay. So now, just going to do the exact same thing. I'll pause it here while I get that tied up, and then we'll bring the ship back over, and we gotta cut our or drill our holes into the platform. So I will be right back. Okay, so here we go. I did already drill the holes because when I went to start doing it with the camera, I did not have enough room. So yeah, I just did what I had to do. So here we go. We got the piece right here, which I'm gonna get. Just need to cut a piece of rope on it. All right, I already painted up the block as well, so that's gonna go this way, and basically it then marries into that cable. So how we start this? You're gonna need your thin thread, and you're gonna come down on the starboard side, which will be your right side if you were facing the front of the ship, and you're gonna pass a rope through here. We might have to use the thread tool, I'm not sure yet. We'll see. Yeah, I'm going to use the thread tool. That's the problem with drilling plastic. Sometimes it doesn't want to go all the way, especially at the angle. If you decide to do this down the road to your model, I also would highly recommend doing it when the mast is still off the ship and not glued onto, I mean the platform is not glued onto a mast. That would have made life just a little bit easier. I'm just trying to see where my hole is for that. Pretty sure that's it. Yep. All right. So we're going to bring our thread through. All right. Now, just like what we did with the dead eyes, we're going to tie a little knot here, and this is just going to hold it from going back through the hole, just like it did with the dead eyes. And trust me, with how much stuff is going on the ship, you never see this. Okay, cut. Now we pull it up through. So we got that going on. Now, I'm going to cut my rope probably about 1.5 feet, roughly. I don't really think I need that much, but just in case. And what we do... Oh, actually, I know we don't need that much. I got way too much rope. Oh, well. What we do... Start on the first one. And we're going to loop it every other. So we get that in. And we bring it back up here. And then we're going to bring it down. Just like that. And I want it about that distance, roughly. Yeah. right? And we're going to come back up on the platform, which it's probably going to be easier to use the threader. So we're going back through. Missed it. Lovely. Just like that. And we're going to not loop it around the mast stay. That would have been good, but I did. You gotta be kidding me. Okay, this should not be this difficult. The one thing that does start to happen, there's so many ropes that it messes with your eyes. Yeah, that's farther. Okay. So now I'm going to skip 2 holes. Let me get the threader. Okay. And back in. Which I can already tell that hole's gonna need this. Okay. I'm only going to do this one side on video. I'll do the other one off video and then we'll tie it together. Because I think you pretty much are getting the idea, I hope. And we come back down. Oh good, I didn't put it through the rope this time. Oh, that's good. And we're going to come back up the next hole. And what that does, or how this does, as you're probably noticing, it makes it so your rope's going down, or your rope is coming over the platform and not like looping around goofy and doing weird things. So that's why we're doing it this way. Okay, again, we're going to skip 2. 1, 2, and we're going to go in here. Hey, that one went in. Oh, it did for a second without a threader. Okay. Sorry, I know I'm not talking. The rope is just frustrating me. So, we're getting there. Okay, now back up again. This is our last set for this side. That's exciting. Okay, skip 2. So we land right here. Okay. And to finish off, we drop it back down into the platform, and we're just going to let it hang there for right now until we are ready to tie it off. So, and we got that basically going on. So I can't really tighten everything up until I have the other side run, and you can kind of see just by pulling it, it starts to straighten out. So I'm going to pause it, do this side, and then we're going to get it straightened out and get it tied off. Be right back. Okay, so here we are. I went ahead and tied it already and got it pretty much down. Once we get it pulled out straight as such, it will then join onto one of these ropes down here. Just don't like how that's... There we go, because I want it to be on that one. Okay, so what I'm going to do again is a little hit of CA glue. I'm not putting very much pressure on it, just enough to try to make it pretty taut. I really don't want it pulling the mast down by any means. So it's more for the effect. Okay, got that. Now scissors, and all we're going to do to finish it off is tie and loop rope around it. Okay, so very similar to what we've done a million times now at this point. Just going to tie around the joined piece. And cut. And I'm going to do two of these. I'm going to do one here and one up here. So I'm just going to have to loop it about a million times between the two ropes. So basically it's just going to be going back and forth. So this part will be kind of boring, which I probably will pause it in a minute here and then just show you final product. And we're moving. I guess if you've watched this far, you're used to me doing this at this point, so I guess there's that. The one thing I gotta be careful of is that I don't twist it too much, because I was starting to get a twist going in there, and I don't really want that. Wouldn't be good for the hook or the setup that we just built. Just to make sure it kind of, you don't want to push it down so you don't have little gaps in between as much as possible. Okay, I'm going to end this one right about here. One more tie, or two more. Okay. I'm going to end that there. Put a touch of glue on it. Good. Whoa. There we go. I just dripped. I don't know where I dripped. I'm kind of hoping I got lucky and it fell in that lifeboat. And it did. Oh, good. I can just touch it up. Beautiful. I couldn't get that lucky again if I tried. All right. So, zoom in a little. You can kind of see what that setup looks like. I'm going to tie the other one off and be right back. Okay, so we got that in back there. It is all mounted down. Kind of go over it so you can see the lashing that we did and how it looks right up onto there. So pretty happy with that. I like it. So we're gonna pretty much finish up one last piece here for the end of the video, because I'm not going to end up showing the whole standing rigging process on the bowsprit, because it's basically the same thing that I did on all of the other ones. Obviously a little bit different shape, but it's very similar. So we're going to go ahead and get this glued on, and after that we're pretty much going to close out this video, because I can't finish off the what do you call them? The shrouds on the foremast yet, because I'm out of the dead eyes. But yeah, we can move on at least to finish off the bowsprit, and then in the next video I'll probably actually start some sails. Well, that went in a little harder than I wanted, but it's in. Wow. Well, I got lucky and nothing broke, so that's exciting. I don't know if I'm 100% in. I gotta look if that little spot is supposed to stick out or not. I can't really tell by that. Let me look at the directions. Yeah, that sticks out a little bit. So I guess I'm not in. Just gotta see in the camera here, or trying to do it in the camera, but sorry, I'm hitting the metal cabinet. Okay, yeah, it just kind of rides down there. So we're gonna put it right there and pretty much call it a day. All right, so bowsprit is in. I'm gonna glue that a little bit better because I don't quite like it, but yeah, pretty much got an idea of where we're at. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please make sure you subscribe. A lot more coming, probably 2 to 3 more videos on Constitution, and then we're going to be heading into Titanic. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.